Hello, welcome to gagrulenet. This is Gagrule Live on Facebook. Today we're going to show you another piece, part 2 of Armenian leadership and head of the organization at Assyrian Remember the Fallen Day event. And so because it's so much, it's impossible to put all. It'd be like 5 hours, and we know nobody watch 5 hours. And so today I had the privilege to interview Paul Krekorian. He's a member of Los Angeles City Council, and also his speech. After that, we'll show you the speech. He's a great speech giver, and he's very loved by Angelenos, and he was the first Armenian to get into city of Los Angeles. So they were all Armenian, full Armenian organization and politicians. They were at the event. So that's why in the next couple of days we just show you the Armenians, and then we show you more about Assyrian, the leadership, and other organization. So without ado, here is the interview privilege I had with him.
Okay, so we just find the man we wanted to talk to, and for years I want to talk to you but never had chance. You know, Paul Krekorian is the best speaker on the bus or on the ground. So tell me about tonight, your thought. I know you gave good speech, but
well, I always feel so privileged when the Assyrian American Association invites me to come and commemorate their Memorial Day with them, invite so many members of the Armenian community and the Greek community to commemorate, to remember, to mourn together, and also to join together for our combined demand for justice in the future. I think we're stronger together, and as we come together in sad times of remembrance, we also come together to commit ourselves to demand justice for those horrors that befell our communities, but also to stand together in common purpose in so many other things as well. And I'm very proud that the Armenian community is joining with the Assyrian community to demand, for example, sovereignty and self-determination for our respective peoples and the people of Artsakh and so forth. So I think it's important for these communities to be close, to be bonded, and to teach the stories of the past to the generations of the future.
Just 2 weeks ago, I think they signed memorandum with the ANC working together. So that's pretty good progress, I
think that was very important. It was a very important symbolic step to say we are going to march forward shoulder to shoulder. And, I think it's important to think about moving forward. We have this common tragic past. We have this horrendous past of atrocities and barbarism and loss. But we also have a very long, much longer common history of contributing to the culture of the world. For millennia, Armenians and Assyrians have enriched this entire world. And so, having gone through this horror of the last 104 years that continues to this day in denialism and in continuing oppression, continuing atrocities that happen to our respective peoples, we also have a joint obligation to move forward teaching the next generation the lessons of genocide and the lessons of impunity so that we prevent future atrocities against our people and or against any other people on earth.
It was Dugmagian first become a governor, right? And I think you were the second stepped into the politics of in Los Angeles area, correct?
Well, there have been, of course, many other Armenian elected officials, notably Assemblyman Wally Sarkeesian. You mentioned George Dugmagian. There have been a number of others.
This generation, I think I'm talking about.
Well, I have the honor of being the first Armenian American elected to any position in the city of Los Angeles, to the city council now, where I've served for 9 years, and the city of Los Angeles has been around here for a pretty long time, so it's my honor to be able to open that door for hopefully other Armenians who will follow as well.
So are we looking Paul Krekorian a mayor or a governor?
Well, right now we're looking to my re-election campaign in March, and I hope that everyone will be out in support. Everyone who can vote for me in my district will be able to vote for me for re-election, and then we'll let the future take care of itself after that.
I don't doubt about that, because you're becoming the symbol of Armenian in there. Everybody knows you. So that's great. You're doing a great job. We're very proud of you. And keep up the hard work. But one day I'm going to call on you, come in City Hall and talk to you there.
It'd be a great pleasure.
Yeah. But I don't know how to get hold of you besides.
We'll take care of that.
You guys have the email. Oh, you have that. Okay, great. Okay, thank you very much.
My great pleasure.
All the best to you.
Thank you very much. Good to speak with you.
Okay, so there you go. He's a great guy, you know. I'm gonna go visit one day city Los Angeles and see him there. So now we're gonna give you the full speech that he gave at Assyrian, Remember the Fallen, and they even called it Empower the Future. And so here is that, and of course tomorrow we're gonna be interviewing our Honorable Adrin Nazarian, California State Assembly, and he was there too. He gave a speech too. We can bring you both the interview and the speech too. So here is the rest of the speech by Honorable Paul Krekorian.
Councilman of the 2nd District, Paul Krekorian, has been a staunch advocate for the Assyrians, Americans, and Greeks regarding the genocide of 1915. He has been a friend to this association and our community, and we are delighted to have him join us this evening. Please welcome Los Angeles City Councilman Paul Krekorian.
Good evening, Reverend clergy, brothers and sisters from the Assyrian, Armenian, and Greek communities. It's an honor to be with you tonight on this very important evening. And it's an honor especially to be joined by my colleagues in public service who come to commemorate this evening with all of us. Assembly members Nazarian, Rivas, and Smith, and of course my great colleague from the City Council, Bob Blumenfield, who you'll be hearing from in a moment. But I do want to make special note of Bob, because when Assemblymember Nazarian and I organized a trip to go to Armenia, Bob Blumenfield joined us and kneeled with us and commemorated the genocide with us at Tsetsernagabert, the Armenian Genocide Monument in Yerevan. And I will never forget that he joined us in that cause. And of course, I'm also joined tonight by representatives of Councilmember Koretz and Councilmember O'Farrell, great friends of this community, great champions of justice, and we are very, very lucky to be represented by all of them in this city. So tonight's remembrance is an opportunity for all of us to join together and mourn and a loss that's almost unimaginable to all of us. But it's also an opportunity for us to honor and celebrate those who survived and the generosity of this great country that allowed our communities to flourish by helping to save the survivors of the genocide and allow them to build a new life here in this country. But it's also an opportunity for us to reflect on the lessons of injustice and impunity and what it continues to mean to our communities today and to future communities that may be subject to this kind of barbarity. The deliberate and carefully planned obliteration of our communities by the Ottoman Turks was, of course, the first genocide of the 20th century, an occasion when people who were the descendants of ancient cultures that have enriched this world throughout modern times, throughout history, throughout recorded history. When the descendants of those rich and ancient cultures were uprooted from their historic homelands, ancient cultures that had enriched the world long before Julius Caesar was born, were eliminated from those historic homelands. Ancient Christian churches that were already centuries old before Columbus set sail were desecrated and defiled and destroyed. And that brutal campaign of extermination of our communities would, of course, not stop there. It would affect all Christians in that area, and it would be the blueprint for the genocides that would follow throughout the 20th century. So our people, our communities, suffered the unimaginable pain of losing children, parents, brothers, sisters, friends in enormous numbers, unfathomable numbers. And we know that the entire world suffered with us as well, because the entire world suffered the loss of unfulfilled potential of those who, had they lived, might have inspired us through their art, might have altered our view of the world through the sciences, might have saved countless lives through medical discoveries, might have inspired us through their poetry and their literature. But we also know this. We also know that the SEFO, the genocide, failed. Like so many other groups of immigrants before and since, the survivors and the descendants found refuge and hope and opportunity to create a new life right here in the United States and right here in Los Angeles. And those survivors and the descendants of the survivors have enriched the fabric of this state and of our country through extraordinary contributions in the arts, in business, in agriculture, in technology, in the sciences, in the professions, and even in government. Armenian, Assyrian, and Greek Americans have disproportionately succeeded against all odds and obstacles, and we have added immeasurably to making California the great state that it is. And in each of these successes, each of these personal successes that you and your families have enjoyed, the Armenian, Assyrian, and Greek people have declared victory over barbarism and bigotry. We've proven that the perpetrators of the genocide failed. Instead of being buried, we have risen. And we continue to rise. When you saw those scouts here today, bringing up our flag and speaking in Aramaic, you know that we rise. When you heard this performance of a song telling the story of the Assyrian experience in the diaspora, you know that together we rise. At every event that this center celebrates throughout the year, every time Assyrians come together as a common community, together we rise. Every time an Assyrian parent raises their children to understand their culture and their history and their contributions to this world, and to speak their ancient language and to sing their ancient songs, together we rise. I have the honor of being the first and so far only Armenian American ever elected to the City Council of the City of Los Angeles in our city's history. And I stand here in that role. But I also stand here in the role of the great-grandnephew of Professor Khachadur Nahigian, an Armenian professor at Euphrates College in Kharpert, who in June of 1915, at the outset of the genocide, was imprisoned, tortured, and eventually brutally murdered in front of the people of his village. And in both of those roles, it's a profound honor to be able to be with you here and to prove our survival together this evening. Our people died together side by side in their ancient villages, but we also stood together. We stood together in resistance to the Ottomans. We stood together in rebuilding our communities here in the United States. We stood together in our nation's capital when Erdogan's thugs beat down protesters who were protesting peacefully against his criminal regime. And I can guarantee you, we will stand together tonight and always in demanding justice, in demanding truth, and in teaching the lessons of the genocide to the next generation of our people and of all Americans. Thank you all very much.
Councilman of the 2nd District.
So there you go. He's a great speaker. So that's for today. I just want to show you that song we put in there. It's this guy. His name is Gusan Haikazu. He wrote this amazing 100 song, Armenian patriotic song, war song, and he's the one really got the Karabakh war to success. He had to contribute lots to that. And so that's why we use this song, because we're very proud of him. He's a great man. Well, that's for today. And again, as we said, tomorrow we're going to show you Honorable Adrian Nazarian, California State Assembly. We had the privilege to meet him and interview him and his speech. And we'll bring you all those speeches one by one. And thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow on the same time.